Hello everyone, let us continue with the second part of video. In the first part of video we have learned about the story of Buddha. Now here we have to learn about Upanishads. Now what do you mean by Upanishads? Let us understand. Around the around the time that Buddha was preaching and perhaps a little earlier, other thinkers also tried to find answers to the difficult questions. Some of them wanted to know about the life after death. Buddha had thought about the life, the karmas, dukh, tana, desires and all. But some thinkers were there, they wanted to know about the difficult questions. Okay, some of them they wanted to know about the life after death. Other wanted to know why sacrifice should be performed. Many of these thinkers felt that there was something permanent in the universe that would last even after death. Now, what lasts after even death? So they wanted to find out. They were having strong belief that there is something that remains after the death in the universe. So this they describe this as the Atman or the individual soul, Atma or the individual soul, and the Brahman, the universal soul. They describe these things as in the same way, and they believe that ultimately both the Atma and the Brahman are one. They believed it. So many of their ideas were recorded in the Upanishads. Okay, whatever they believed, whatever they taught, whatever they explore and they try to tell the people, preach the people, it was recorded in the Upanishads. So there, these were the part of the latter Vedic text. Upanishads literally mean approaching and sitting near. Approaching and sitting near. Now, the text contains conversations between teachers and students. Here, what happens actually, often ideas were presented through the dialogue, simple dialogues. Most Upanishad thinkers were men, especially the Brahmanism. Okay, the Rajas, the Brahmanisad Rajas. Occasionally, there is a actually disc. What happened here? Occasionally, there is a mention we can say of women thinkers such as the Gargi, who was famous for her learning and participated in debates held in the royal courts. Whatever court rajas were there, kings were there in that royal courts, some debates used to be held. That time, these thinkers used to come and debate over there. So one of the women thinker of that time, Gargi, the name is, she was also, she had also participated there in that debate, and poor people rarely took part in the discussions. One famous exception of Satyakama Jabala. He was actually given a name after his mother. He was a slave of a woman named Jabali. He had a deep desire to learn about a reality. Okay, and he was also accepted as a student by Brahmin teacher, and the name of the teacher was Gautama. So Gautama accepted him as a teacher, as a student, and he became one of the best known thinkers of that time. He was Gautama. So many of these ideas of the Upanishads were later known or developed by the famous uh, thinker like Shankaracharya. Okay, you will read in class 7 about Shankaracharya more in detail. So this is what Upanishad. Upanishad means what? Sitting and approaching together. When teacher will or the guru will preach and students have to listen and they have to record their ideas. In this way the things were there in the Upanishads. Alright, let us move ahead with the Mahavira. Okay. Or we can say that Jainism also. So what were the rules of Mahavira? Let us move. Rules for the Jainas were very strict and tough to follow. It was hard to become Jain monk. However, people could not follow these rules themselves, still helped the monk who could follow the rules. The Jainas had to lead simple lives and be absolutely very honest. They had to beg for food. They had to give up everything, even their clothes. Now we can see the Shwetambar, then Terapanthi, and then Stanakvasi, such kind of Jainism, Jain people are there. So when we see people, some are there like Tarun Munisagar, the name I remember. He was from the on where they have given their clothes as well. They could not have families either. Now, what is Jaina today? Jain monks and nuns still walk barefoot. We have seen when we walk on, when we see on the street, we get the sight of such kind of monks and the nuns. They sweep the ground in front of them as they walk, so they don't accidentally step on insects and they kill them. It means they are very sensitive about these things, that nothing, not any single living creature should harm by them. Now think and discuss, what similarities do you see in Buddhism and Jainism? This question you need to answer. Read the textbook clearly, properly. Why it was hard to be a follower of Mahavira? There are written things that which I explained earlier. Okay, here the Mahavira is Upanishads. We have already understood. Let us once again see Upanishads. Even before Buddha and Vardhaman Mahavira were preaching, there were many thinkers who were wondering about life. And the question was actually what which answer of which question they were trying to find out. That question was, what happens after death? What kind of sacrifices should people perform? Is there something permanent that lasts even after our death, when we are gone? So these were the questions of the Upanishad thinkers that wanted to find out the answers. Discussions about these questions and many more ideas were recorded as Upanishads. The word Upanishad means approaching and sitting near. This is knowledge gained through the discussions and sitting near the teacher. So many of the thinkers that I have already explained, they were Brahmins and they were Rajas. They were mostly men. Okay, there were very few women thinkers and very poor people also mentioned there. And one of the famous Upanishad thinker was the Shukracharya. Okay, Upanishads are the book that have the main ideas of Hinduism. Upanishads are considered to be a part of Vedas. They talk about Brahman and Atman, which are core concepts of Hindus. So we have seen about what are Upanishads. Okay. Now what was Atma and the Brahman? That we have to see clearly. Okay. Now let us move ahead with Jainism. The last and 24th Tirthankaras of Jainas, Vardhaman Mahavira, also spread his message around this time, that is 2500 years ago. He was a Kshatriya prince of Lichavis, a group of a group that was a part of the Vajji Sangha, about which you have read in chapter 5. At the age of 30, he left home. He went to live in a forest. For 12 years, he led harsh and lonely life. Then where he attained enlightenment. He taught a simple doctrine. Men and women who wish to know the truth must leave their homes. They must follow very strictly the rules of ahimsa, which means not hurting or killing any living being. All beings, he said, Mahavira said, long to live. To all things, life is dear. Ordinary people could understand the teachings of Mahavira and his followers because they use Prakrit language to preach. There were several forms of Prakrit which were used in different parts of the country. There were several forms across the country and the name after the regions in which they were used. For example, the Prakrit spoken in Magadha was known as Magadhi. Followers of Mahavira who were known as Jainas, they had to lead very simple lives. They had to beg for food. They had to be very absolutely and very honest. They had to be, where they were specially asked not to steal. They were asked not to steal, beg before the food. Also, they had to observe celibacy. Now, what is the meaning of celibacy? Here, man had not to marry. Okay, and men had to give up everything, including their clothes. Celibacy is very important thing. So, meaning of celibacy means where we have to abstain from marriage. Okay, abstaining from the marriage. So, this was the Jainism. Here you can see it was very difficult for most men and women to follow the strict rules. Nevertheless, thousands left their home to learn and teach this new way of life. Many more many more remained behind and supported those who became monks and nuns. They providing them with food. Means those who could not follow, they remain with them. The rules of Jainism, those who do not follow, they remain with the monks and nuns where they can serve them, and they provide them food and all. Jainism was supported mainly by traders, farmers who had took actually farmers were not actually because they have to till the land. Now farmers who had to kill insects to protect their crops, and it was written there no any living being should be harmed. So it was supported by traders mainly. Now farmers who had to kill insects to protect their crops, they found it very difficult to follow the rules. Over the hundred of years, Jainism spread to different parts of the North India and Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. These are the states where Jainism was spread. The teaching of Mahavira and his followers were transmitted orally for several centuries. They were written down, whatever they have transmitted. They were written down in the form of which they were presented. Now they are available at the palace called Vallabhi in Gujarat. About 1500 years ago it was written. It is still available. Now here you can see the symbol of Jainism: Siddhas, Dev, Naraki, mutual support and interdependence. Parasparo Graho Jivanam. It is written. Right faith, knowledge and conduct. Manushya, Riyancha, Ahimsa hand, teaching of 24 Tirthankaras. So here we have to we have learned about the Jainism. Okay. So today we will stop here, and in next video we will learn about the remaining part of the lesson. Thank you.